So thank you very much, members of the fourth estate. I'm here to issue a statement on the anticipated State of the Nation address by His Excellency the President tomorrow. So tomorrow, Thursday, November 20th, 2025, His Excellency President Dr. William Samoei Ruto, CGH, will be discharging his constitutional mandate under Article 132 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. As fate would have it, the State of the Nation address by the President comes at a time that Kenyans in every corner of this country are heavily burdened by the weight of corruption, heavy taxation leading to mass erosion of people's purchasing power, unfulfilled promises, and shattered dreams. As the Deputy Minority Leader in the Senate of the Republic of Kenya, I call on the President to summon and exercise a great caution in his pronouncements to the nation tomorrow. I hope and wish that the President would use the floor of the August House to speak real hope to a nation that is tottering on the edge of hopelessness, a people grossly frustrated by both the actions and inactions of state and state actors on basic human and people's rights. Kenyans are already overtaxed, and any new measure to squeeze a penny out of Kenyans would be too much to bear for salaried Kenyans, businesses, and indeed all Kenyans who have to contribute to national revenue through the purchase of the most ordinary and basic goods and services. The attack on the Kenyan payslip by this regime is a major blow to every household in this country. I hope that the President will not be using the floor of the National Assembly tomorrow to popularize his newest invention to raid people's incomes through the so-called Infrastructure Development Fund. Kenyans cannot bear another fund. Kenyans cannot bear another levy. Kenyans cannot bear another loan. Kenyans want and deserve an objective demonstration of commitment on the part of the presidency to fiscal discipline, integrity, and competence in the management of public resources. Kenyans want and deserve a national executive led by the President that has capacity to tame its own appetite for punitive policies and laws. The Cybercrimes Amendment Act 2025 and a list of other pieces of punitive legislations do not inspire confidence in the executive. An attempt to limit the freedom of speech, deny oxygen to constructive digital activism, and dim the light on public social audit on government spending in this era of information superhighways must be resisted by every well-meaning Kenyan. The President will be addressing the nation at a time that his administration has manifested the greatest appetite for the sale of strategic public assets. This regime is behaving as though Kenya, as we know it, begins with the Ruto administration and will end with the Ruto administration. Of course, there was a Kenya before President Ruto occupied office following the 2022 presidential elections, and there will be Kenya after President Ruto leaves office after serving his term, preferably after serving one term. So to advance the argument that this regime wants to sell strategic national assets, including the Kenya pipeline, ostensibly to finance an annual budget, is to be too short-sighted. So if we sell Kenya pipeline today to finance the 2025-2026 annual budget, what shall we sell to finance the 2026-2027 annual budget and the other annual budgets to follow? What will our children and our children's children sell to finance annual budgets in their time? This is not just appetite, it is greed, and it must be tamed. The education system, right from basic to tertiary education, is in a mess under this regime. I hope, again is hope, that in his address to the nation tomorrow, President Ruto will breathe life to this very important sector of our nation. Lecturers have just returned to work after 49 days of strike over unfulfilled promises. This has interrupted university education in ways that it should not have. Intern teachers, the JSS teachers, are crying out in every corner of the Republic every day. They are crying out for justice. They are asking to be absorbed as permanent and pensionable teachers within the Teacher Service Commission. One of the things that the President prides himself to have done in the education sector is that he says he has employed 76,000 teachers and is in the process of employing another 24,000 teachers to make it 100,000. Fair enough. But why not begin with these 20,000 intern teachers who have already been doing a great job teaching our children for a paltry pay for a year? They signed up for internship with the promise of being absorbed on PNP after a year. I heard the President saying in Kitui last week that they will be absorbed after 2 years. Why? In his address to the nation tomorrow, let the President provide a solution on how these intern teachers will be absorbed this year. In any case, we have heard the President promising the completion of projects running into hundreds of billions of shillings outside the approved budgets of parent ministries and departments. What the intern teachers are asking for is a drop in the ocean compared to the President's pronouncements on the implementation of infrastructure projects in record time. Lastly, I urge Dr. William Samoei Ruto, CGH, to act presidential and try to be the real symbol of national stability, to play the role of the father figure of our nation. One, he must find reason in his engagements with the public to desist from insulting leaders who are opposed to his style of leadership. It depicts him as an intolerant and a desperate leader when he publicly insults his opponents and even laughs about it. Kenyan parents are now finding it difficult to encourage their children to watch news on TV or follow presidential functions on radio because of the insults coming from the President. This is not right, but the President retains the right of choosing how he wants to interact with the people of Kenya. So wone musumbe no kwitha inena na nzito ya Kenya kwisila mbunge na oneni wake mbungeni niwetegelezwe ni katiba article 132 ya katiba ni kwenda musumbi kila mwaka akoka mbungeni kutabia ya Kenya ondola nzito ibwana. So nini ndo expect musumbi oke mbungeni kutabia andomaito ma Kenya mondo la serikali yake yikite na mondo ine kubanga na kweka luchambe nashikana otubena ya musumbe yaone yuka ibinda yila Kenyans mena mathina maingi muno na nyeta munini wa mutongwe wa ala nini bungene ya Senate nenda kukule musumbe maundu atatu kinu chambe oka kunena na Kenya one I make sure kananda naongela maundu makwenda kuikia koti kwa Kenyans mebe koti mwingi mbe wala makwiba oyu when agendo gweta infrastructure development fund isuno nzia ya kosa mbesa kumakula kwa Kenyans ili kami ukone yandu na kwenda na kuumisha mwenendi kinu gingo ndokule musumbi ni oyu kona sionesi ya Kenya wena alimu maandikitwe interns bewangili miongwele na alimu asu sumwilinde lumedhito meikolia serikali ya William Ruto yani isie wadhi wo wayo kwa kulamai kanani makwande kwa permanent and pensionable ni TSC alimu timaandike musumbe inena asia ni wandikite alimu ngili miongo mwanza na thanza tu anokwenda kwandikangi ngili miongo ile nana nyena mukulia oni oka kunena na bunge alimu miongo ile ngili miongo ile nana okwase no kwenda kwandika ambe kwa sana miongo ile interns ama nengewe ya nisio komandhia aswange mawe mo chakadatu nina wata se musumbe bena sindwende na kwika itenzeo na especially kinene chake andone musumbi muima kuungama na kuumana na kuuma ndoala mata kwetikilana na utongoi wake chini kindu kithuku na kule musumbi ekane na sindu sia kuumanga na atongweshinze ya Kenya ibinda unengeto mwanya kutongwesha na kwandiro siake we mwene ni waneni yasia tumunenge myaka 5 atate kwitha wa musumbi athukumanesa atumwe weyani athukumanai umwe weyani ukweli ni kana kila mukenya guanthe niwezekana musumbi athukumita nai kou nithini tumumeisia myaka 5 otwene na kumukosoa bala tumukosoa amine myaka yake 2027 na kwinuka athukie mundungi and of course you know ni Kalonzo wa Musyoka ande kutongwesya Kenya yitu nawe aumo visine then tukakola ni amondo ala wekie ela musumbe na kunukula watu toje naye tusiti turekebishata first of all one of the institutions that has really suffered the overreach of the executive is actually the institution from where the president will be making the address tomorrow. The president has clearly captured parliament. He has pushed through legislation that is punitive and legislation that is meant to just benefit a few people at the expense of the majority of Kenyans. Secondly, the president, I remember very well when he was campaigning and was saying, you know, the way I have suffered under my boss, then the President Uhuru Kenyatta, we will not allow under my administration for people to be curtailed in their engagement with one another. I remember he said there will be no need for anyone to call their friends on WhatsApp because we will not be eavesdropping on conversations. Of course, you know that what the president has done, his government has done, is that they are minimizing that space of interaction. The safety of our people and property of our people is at greatest danger today than it was before the president came into office. the question of an expanded democratic space where people and institutions are supposed to play their roles without looking over their shoulders. Today, the president, anybody who does not speak the same things that the president speaks about, anybody who thinks the president should serve a single term is an enemy of the president. So, to answer your question, Kenya is worse today than it was before President Ruto came into office. In all fronts, there is no area in this country that we can say things are better today than they were before Ruto became president. The president is supposed to tell us our place on international obligations. The foremost international obligation of any nation is to take care of its citizens living in other countries. The Constitution, and I quote, Article 132 of the Constitution, under the functions of the president in his address to the nation through Parliament tomorrow is supposed to submit a report for debate on the progress made in fulfilling the international obligations of the Republic. The first international obligation of any government is the safety of its citizens living outside the country. As you said, we saw what happened to our activists in Uganda, held in Communicado, as President Kaguta Museveni puts it, throws them in some freezer somewhere. And it takes the intervention of President Uhuru Kenyatta for those two young men to be released. You saw what happened in Tanzania on the day of the elections. Our people have been tortured. We have reports of some people Kenyans that were killed in Tanzania. Have you ever heard the president speak about it anywhere? I've never heard him speak about it anywhere. So I want to hear what he'll say tomorrow about our relationship with the frontline states of Uganda and Tanzania in as far as the safety of Kenyans living in those countries is concerned.